Hi everyone, this is Gabb and Kite. We were in Toronto for the weekend and had a chance to interview Jason Brown, the 2014 Olympic bronze medalist in the team event, 2015 US champion, and 2018 Four Continents bronze medalist.
First of all, your packaging this season with the short program and the new haircut is obviously quite a bit different from what we've seen from you in the past.
Yes.
Was this like an intentional move on your part as you relocated your training base, or a result of the changes that you've been making all season?
The hair part of the package was something that I was going to change no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
And so I kind of knew after the last 4 years or the last quad, I was like, okay, I need a change after that no matter what. So I knew the hair was coming, but the program was definitely based off of last season, and not as but kind of a passive aggressive kind of play on the words that I've done in my last 2 long programs have had love in the title, and so then I did a short program that had love in the title, but it was in more of an aggressive way as kind of like a little jab at myself, but I just love it, and it so that part of the packaging has made me feel kind of more empowered of owning that situation and kind of playing off to that.
Yeah, it's definitely a very memorable program.
Yeah, we really like it.
We've seen it, we've seen it live twice.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah,
I'm
both
so
times
glad you guys
just
love it.
Yeah, really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So also you've been quite vocal on Twitter and on social media about being involved in the Ronald McDonald House Charities.
Yeah, we wanted to know how that came about.
Yeah, so after actually the 2014 Olympics, I kind of was really when I started doing more of the Grand Prix and more of the bigger events. So, and with that, more people go to these events and throw, obviously, one of the traditions is that people throw stuffed animals or things on the ice to show their support. And so often we travel all these different places in the world, and unfortunately we're not always able to bring everything home with us.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to do something that I could feel like the audience was showing their support, but then we could pay it forward. And I wanted to also find a way to do something that was global, that I could do no matter where I was in the world. And we were looking at a bunch of different, whether it was children's hospitals or we looked into the Red Cross, and the Ronald McDonald House was one of the places that really stood out to me, that not only did it involve, kids and their families, but it was, the more we started looking into it, the more it was everywhere. I've gotten to go to the Ronald McDonald House in Finland and in Taiwan and in Korea and in Japan. And, I've been in Europe and I've been all over the US. And so that part made it just unique, because the people at those events could feel like it was going to their community. And then I love kids, and I love
it always looks so
amazing
when you see it on social media.
I had no idea it was so global. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Which has been so neat. And the cool thing about the Ronald McDonald House is the more that I've been involved with it, the more people have come up to me with their stories about how they've, their family has stayed at the Ronald McDonald House, or how one of their relatives has, or how much of an impact it's had on their life. Because it's not something that's as spoken about as I would have thought. But once I got involved, it was so many different people kept coming up to me.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
So kind of playing off of more of your social media.
Yeah, please.
Your friendship with Yevgenia Medvedeva is all over social media, and it's obviously so sweet to see.
We love seeing pictures of you guys.
Just, makes our day when we see something like that. What is it like to both be new to TCC and to Toronto as elite skaters? Because you guys moved here around the same time.
Yes, it's really been incredible. I think going through this with someone else has made the whole process, whether you want to call it so much sweeter or so much easier, we're both coming here with and making so much change. So going through it and kind of going through the ups and downs of adapting to a new environment, it's been so nice to do it side by side with Evgenia. And when she first moved here, I kind of helped her get all settled with everything in Canada. Yeah. So at first I was in my head, I was I hope she likes me at the end of this, because like if she like is annoyed with me by the time we get her all settled, and then she's like, oh, and then like I'm with him every day. But because when she first came here, her mom didn't have a car, and so I was driving them everywhere, and we were going to practices together, and I was just like, please like me, because if we spend all this time together and she's like, ugh. But luckily we like have really become really close friends, and I love her so much, and it's been amazing just to see the growth this season as she's kind of had to break down some barriers and then start building them back up.
Yeah. Were you guys acquainted before?
Yeah.
We've known each other. We knew each other via competitions.
Oh, yeah.
But that being said, no. We talked, and we take pictures at competitions, and a little bit of like Instagram DMs back and forth of just like support.
Yeah.
After like seeing each other. But that being said, it was really once Evgenia or Brian, who made her coaching change public. I like wrote her, and I was like because we were both moving, and I was like, hey, like if you need anything, I'm moving like 3 weeks before you, like, and then we started talking much more. And then it's just progressed from there.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
Yeah.
And you guys are gonna go to Worlds together.
Yes,
you must be so excited. Yeah.
So excited.
The best of luck to you both.
Yeah,
You're gonna be
good
rooting
luck.
for you, of
Thank
course.
you.
Yeah.
And kind of on the flip side of being new to Toronto,
Yeah.
what has been the hardest part of just relocating like your whole training base and moving to a new rink?
I think the hardest part really was at the beginning, and I think that's like kind of creating new habits was very difficult. Something that I think was so incredible with this coaching team is that they have been extremely patient, extremely understanding, and they've gone through it with so many people, coming into their training camp new, and then having to kind of relearn certain technique and understanding that. And during the summer, making so much change, I was kind of felt like I was like got to this point where I was like in no man's land. Like I wasn't doing my technique, the technique that I was doing before correctly, and I wasn't doing theirs technique, and I like couldn't all my jumps were messed up. I couldn't land anything, and there was just moments of like, what is happening? And like so badly, like I couldn't land triple loops. Like it took me like a good 4 weeks to start landing triple axels again. And when I came to Toronto the first week, I was doing triple axels. And then as we made all these changes, it took 4 weeks before like I got it back consistently. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what are they thinking of me? So I think that, and staying true to not going back to old habits, just kind of like a funny story, like just like talk about is like I remember like calling my best friend being like, I don't know, like I just want to like go back to some of my old habits just like for a day or two, like to like feel good about myself again. And she was like, you did not move to Canada to go back to old habits. Like it was so funny.
It's a good friend.
Yeah, that is
really
that kind of
good
advice.
friend.
Yeah.
Really good friend.
A good pep talk.
Yeah, exactly. But I stuck with it, and that part's gotten easier. But the timing of moving was kind of right for me, and I felt like I moved at a right time, and I was happy with that, and I love Toronto. But that technical change has been the most difficult, and still something that I feel like I've gotten it with the previous jumps, but moving forward with some of the other jumps that I'm working on, I haven't quite reached it.
I mean, sometimes in competition, like especially if you're relearning your technique, it can be easy to kind of revert back to old habits if you're nervous or under pressure. Is that something that kind of ties
absolutely
into this?
I had I don't want to call it a really rough start to the season, but I had a lot of those feelings where like I was like I kind of felt like I was like 7 steps ahead of in practice than where I was when I would compete. And I would get to competition and I would like have no idea what I was doing, and I couldn't rely on anything, because like what you said, you go back to what you know in like adrenaline situations, and I don't want to say completely fell apart, but that feeling of like, oh my gosh, what is happening? But that gap has gotten smaller and smaller as the year has gone on. But I do laugh because at the beginning of the season, I was like, I don't want to compete that much. Like, I don't want so many events. And then because like we were making so much change, and then as I was competing, I was like, oh my God, the only way that I can figure this out is like if I keep competing. I was like, I need more events.
It's been so amazing to see the progress you've made just in the past like half season.
We're really excited for Worlds.
Thank you.
So going into so you're going to Japan.
Yes.
And we know that you like to study Japanese. We want to know how that started and how that's progressing.
My first Junior Grand Prix year, I went to a Junior Grand Prix in Japan. And I just fell in love with the culture and the people. And what I think was so amazing is like where we were at least, they didn't speak English. So the communication barrier is obviously there, but it was kind of, for me, one of the first times traveling internationally where like you were in another country where they weren't speaking. It sounds so horrible because coming from the US and with English, it's so universal, which I think sometimes we take too much advantage of. And I think it was something that for me felt so special being in another country where there was that language barrier, because you really felt like, oh my gosh, to communicate, I really want to like learn their language. And so that's kind of really where it started. And then I started off like just kind of like teaching myself some words, and then I did take a few classes and then work with some tutors and just like studying here and there when I can. But I love it. I hope to teach English in Japan one year. My goal is fluent by 40. So
best of luck with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you seem to be doing
how
well.
It started. Thank you.
And kind of moving a bit into the season, you had a bit of a costume mishap at U.S. Nationals, as we understand.
Yes.
Could you maybe talk a little bit more about that,
and
how everyone really came together to help you get your costumes
You had so many
back?
people helping you. We want to know.
Absolutely. It was crazy. I started to pack for the U.S. Championships on a Tuesday, like the Tuesday before I was leaving. And I go into my closet and like my costumes aren't there. And I was like, well, this is strange. But at the same time, I was like, my room is not that big. Like, they're only would be in my closet. Like, they're not like somewhere else lying around. And I started to like think like, where could they be? What could I do? And like out of nowhere, I was like, oh my gosh, I left them in Croatia. I left them at my last event. Like, we finished a day early competing in Croatia. So I honestly think I just like hung them back up in the closet in the hotel room. And then like, instead of packing them up right away, like hung it, and then I like packed everything up and left. But I brought my like exhibition costume home, the one that I did the next day. But it was, I was like, oh my god. And I came in that day, I was like, Tracy, I need to like get this off of my mind, because like I feel so bad, but like I won't be able to focus unless I like come clean. Like, I don't have my costume. And she was like, oh, it's okay. Like, she was so chill about it, which made me feel better. She's like, we'll figure something out. But I was like, my mom is on it. We are working hard on this. And basically, we went through U.S. figure skating to get all the right contacts from the event and the hotel from the Senior B in Croatia. We tracked down the costumes. They were with housekeeping, which was crazy that, like, they had them, and they had kept them like for months. And then they it all started. We like went to FedEx, and it like my costumes went from like Croatia, now I don't even remember, but like Croatia to another country, to the US, to Paris, to like Tennessee, to Michigan. Like, it was like all these different ways of like getting it, and so many different people that we were close to was like kind of starting to use all their connections on how to get it. And so like US figure skating's people were like doing it from their, FedEx people. And my dad's business was trying to get it in there. And then one of my cousins works for Universal. So like Universal like was like trying to track it down with their FedEx people. So it was just like, and it landed in Michigan, and my parents drove to pick it up. And they had it back after my 20-minute warm-up and before my 6-minute warm-up for the short program. And I got my costume.
Amazing.
That is a saga.
Crazy.
Did you have a backup costume?
I did.
Okay.
That being said, it was more of like a turtleneck. Like, it wasn't, I couldn't, like, you know, like, skating pants and, like, more of, like, a tight kind of turtleneck for the short.
Okay.
And then the long, I just had, like, an exhibition outfit that I worn before that we were like, okay, that's what we're going to do. Exactly. But we had backups just in case, but I'm shocked that I didn't need to use them.
I'm glad it all worked out. Yeah.
Me too. It's a good story. And I'm just...
It's funny to look back on, I'm sure.
Exactly. The fact that I left my costumes in Croatia, but 6 weeks later realized. Like, had no idea. Like, didn't even, like, while I was unpacking, didn't think about it.
Yeah. Do you think it affected, like, your focus at all going international?
No. I think at the beginning it kind of freaked me out, just because I didn't know what I was gonna wear. But once I kind of had an outfit and had practiced in something different, I felt more relaxed. But it really wasn't until I had a backup that I, like, started to relax. And Tracy being so calm about the whole situation.
Yeah, they've probably seen it before.
Yeah, they have. They were like, oh my god, we've gone through this with Javi. Like, no worries. They're like, Jason, this is nothing. I was like, okay.
And if you could relive one moment of your career so far, what moment would you pick?
So relive, and it's the same.
You can change it.
Yeah, you could change it. Whatever you want.
I would say, okay, if I could relive one moment, it's a really great question. It would probably be either kind of like reliving 2014 Nationals, like as just like, I don't think I really understood what was going on at the time. So to, like, relive it and kind of, like, well, I guess technically what makes it special is that you don't really understand what's going on. But kind of embrace it more and, like, just, like, really realize, like, what I did. I think that would be cool. But something that was so meaningful to me was at World Team Trophy in 2015. And I finished skating, and all the skaters from all the different countries, like, came into the kiss and cry area. And, like, that was just really, really special to me. And it meant a lot. And I was just, like, mind blown that, like, they all came down to, like, cheer me on.
That's really nice.
Yeah,
I came to support you, for
sure.
And I guess to wrap up, something that's really unique about your skating is that you're quite flexible. Mm-hmm. And you do show up this flexibility a lot in your programs, which is awesome, obviously. I guess, how did that become such, like, an integral part of your style? And do you have any tips for other skaters who might want to improve their flexibility?
Kind of a funny story, but I wasn't flexible at all when I was younger. Like, couldn't touch my toes, like, couldn't do the splits, like, anything. And I was at Junior Nationals when I was a juvenile in the U.S., and I didn't qualify for the final round, but I was sitting in the stands with my coach, Corey, watching the juvenile men's final, and Joshua Ferris was who ended up winning that year, did a Charlotte and did a Bielman, and it was like, Corey was like, if you want to win juvenile nationals, like, and be good, you know, for the following year, like, you have to work on your flexibility, like, look at this, like, look how amazing this is. And I was like, okay. And so that's really where it began. And every night I would stretch. And I think that's kind of where it started. I wasn't someone that, like, overstretched as far as, like, would push my body further than it could go. But with stretching, it's something that has taken time. But every single night I would stretch a little more. And every single night, and just keep working on it throughout the years. And it's fortunately paid off and been able to use it. But I laugh about it with Josh because we were like, he as he grew, he was like, I'm not flexible. And we would, like, laugh about it because I was like, I'm literally flexible just because of you. And he was like, oh my gosh. So we laugh about it because he's like, I was so flexible as a kid. But yeah, that's where it began. Because if I wanted to win juvenile, I needed to be flexible.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
thank you so much
of course.
for taking the time to talk to
Anytime.
us. I know you're really busy with training, so yeah, we really appreciate it.
Yeah, we wish you the best of luck for Worlds.
Yeah, of course. We can't wait to watch you.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys.
So thank you everyone for listening, and we'd especially like to thank Jason Brown for taking the time out of his very busy schedule to sit down and talk to us. And we do have another interview coming out, so keep an eye out for that. And if you want more figure skating coverage, please head over to our website, inthellowpodcast.com, for all of your figure skating needs. Thanks, and see you soon.